Hope you're finding time to sin a little extra today on my behalf. I'm Kendra, two-time cult survivor and host of this channel and the Culture Shock podcast. It's been a red hot minute since I've done a live, but today I'm streaming on YouTube and Instagram, which almost broke my millennial brain. So please be patient with me because y'all know deep down I'm really sensitive and I'm not trying to cry on the Lord's Day. Today I have a special treat for you. My guest is joining us all the way from the UK to dive into purity culture and how growing up as a Jehovah's Witness led her to almost becoming a 40-year virgin. Last month, Micki did an interview with me on YouTube and y'all loved her so much. You kept asking me to bring her back to talk about this specifically, and I'm a giver, so we're gonna do that today. I added the link to that video below so you can watch that one right after this one. If you want to show a little extra love, a badge or super chat is always appreciated, and I won't even guilt you into giving me 10% of your paycheck. All right, let's get into it. Hey,
Hi.
Micki. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I was not joking when I said this almost broke my millennial brain because um it's one thing to stream on Instagram and then I'm trying to like figure out everything. I'm 35, like I'm too old for this shit, guys. If you guys are seeing this nice and clear on Instagram and YouTube, you can leave a comment and let me know. It would just make me feel a lot better about my capabilities. But I'm really excited you decided to join me again today, Micki. So I said last month, but I think it was actually in February when you came on and we did the part 1 and 2 on Instagram. And like I said, people just loved your story. They loved your hair, your accent, your resilience, everything about you, people are just really drawn to, and they wanted to hear more from you. And I think our interview was like 2 hours. I think you and I chatted.
Mm.
And we didn't even get into purity culture. We wanted to, but it was just, we had so much other things going on that we didn't get to it. So today is dedicated to purity culture.
Okay.
But first, I'm hoping. Oh, good. Someone said YouTube is fine, and it looks like Instagram is fine as well. So thank you guys. That's awesome.
Awesome.
But Micki, do you want to give people a quick introduction on who you are, where you come from, and a little bit about your background? That'd be great.
All right. So I'm Micki. I'm 38 now. I was born and raised in New Zealand, and I grew up as a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years. And then I left when I was 35, and obviously we're going to delve into that a little bit more. But I moved to the UK last year, and I'm starting my life fresh and cult-free so far.
How's the ex-cult life treating you? You're just sinning. You're just sinning every day, just left and right.
Every day I do what I can. I have a cross earring that I flip upside down every morning.
You freaking rebel. You know what? You're unhinged at this point. It's too much. Someone needs to stop you.
I can't be handled.
Oh, well, we knew that. We knew that. So a little bit about purity culture for people who don't know. Well, first, let me say, raise your hand if you've ever been personally victimized by purity culture, and I'll raise both of my hands because that shit, yeah, because the impact of purity culture doesn't just affect you like as you're growing up in it, but really lifelong. Like the impact that purity culture has on our brains, and just with shame, and not even just involved with sex specifically, but just how we view ourselves, our bodies, shame around all of that, guilt, all of that good stuff. So, I wanted to explain to people first that when I say purity culture has existed for a long time within religious spaces, but it really took off as a purity culture movement like in the 70s, and then even more so in the 90s and early 2000s. And it was really centered around having a strict abstinence approach towards, like, for teens and for young kids. So premarital abstinence. And then a lot of times girls were considered like dirty or gross, or, a used stick of gum if you had sex before marriage. So That's essentially what purity culture is. So when we're speaking about purity culture, that's kind of what it's in reference to. But a lot of religions, so like Micki mentioned, she's ex-Jehovah's Witness. I grew up like very strict evangelical, IBLP-esque. And across a lot of religions, this is so deeply embedded. You may not hear it said as purity culture, but baby, that's what it is. That's what it is.
And it touches like
um,
so many
so
aspects of your life.
like, give me some examples.
Like, I mean, even
What
just
aspects for you specifically?
like with witnesses, you couldn't wear anything like this. um, like even if you're just wearing something slightly too low cut or too high cut on the other end, it was always you're always taught that like you're not to stumble men, like basically as a woman or as a girl even. To do everything you can to make Jehovah look good and not stumble men. And so that can be in your home, that can be at school, that can be at the Kingdom Hall or church. Um, just like everywhere you go, you're constantly aware of how you look, how you're presenting, and how it could be your fault if somebody touches you wrong or right or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, there's no right. It's only wrong. Even when it's right, it's wrong.
It's
You know what I'm
fine.
saying?
That's my life
Yeah.
motto.
It's a definitely like a victim. Do what?
Nothing.
I was like, it's definitely a victim blaming mentality in purity culture spaces. It's like you said, if everything is kind of the woman's fault causing a man to stumble or sin, heaven forbid you show any shape to your body. Like heaven, like why do we even have bodies, honestly? Because
Yeah.
they're really just in the way. And but you're taught that from like little kid age. This isn't just teenagers. It's like from a little kid age, as a little girl, you're pledging your purity to God and to your dad and pledging to save yourself until marriage. So why don't you
Yeah.
take us down how that showed up for you? Because like I mentioned in the intro and on the thumbnail, you waited a long time to do the dirty. So yeah, tell us your story with that.
But I think like with Jehovah's Witnesses, there are two things that were always mentioned weekly, if not bi-weekly, about heavy petting and porneia and how to avoid these things and what they were, and like children are present for these talks. So you're like 5 years old in my case, and when I started going, when my mom started going, um, and like you're sitting there hearing these talks and they're describing what heavy petting is and what porneia is and like fornication and all of these things that really didn't need to be discussed in front of children or at every single meeting. Um, but
Yeah.
basically, you get a sense of, like I said earlier, you're a woman, you need to be careful not to make a man stumble. Be careful of what you're wearing, how you're acting, who you're talking to. Just like it was just uh, quite thoroughly shame ridden. Um, and as Jehovah's Witnesses, you're not allowed to have sex before marriage. That is a disfellowshipping offense, which is being kicked out of the religion.
Oh, really?
And if you get disfellowshipped, everyone stops speaking to you, and more often than not, people assume it's because of sex anyway, whether that's the reason or not. Um, and because I didn't get married,
That's probably
I
because they're all wanting to do it. So everyone's thinking about doing it because they're not allowed to do it. So when someone gets kicked out, they're like, they gave in. That's what it was. What else could it be?
and also like I think there's kind of a culture in Jehovah's Witnesses to get married young because obviously when you're younger, like
Mm.
19, 18, 19, 20, you want to do it. And that's like natural. Um, but obviously within the confines of the religion, that means you have to get married. So a lot of people are unfortunately stuck with people who they married when they were like 18 for sex. um,
Yeah.
and that's like that can also create problems because you're not allowed to get divorced as a Jehovah's Witness. Um, But yeah, in my case, I did date someone for a couple of years, and that was quite long for Jehovah's Witness courtship. Um, we didn't end up getting married, so I didn't end up having sex. And about a year later, I woke up and realized I was in a cult and left the religion. So that then led me to be in the position of being a 35-year-old virgin. Daunting,
Oh my
to say the least.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Someone said that getting married is is super common. And I did the same thing. Is like as soon as I turned 18, I ran away from home, away from the cult that I was raised in, and got married 2 weeks later to someone I barely knew because we weren't
Mm,
allowed to date anyway. Um, and so it's like you are like easily thrown into marriages that aren't right for you. Like you make really stupid choices out of obligation almost.
yeah,
Sometimes out of desperation. And then you're stuck in something that you're also, like you said, you're not allowed to get out of. So then what happens? And then
exactly.
you're stuck. You're just stuck. And then you're reproducing with this person that you're stuck with for life. So
Yeah.
it's like a really vicious cycle with that.
And I think as well, like with witnesses,
So
you're not allowed to like give yourself self pleasure even. So there's like a aspect of
mm,
not even being able to explore your own body and get to know what you want and what you don't like. And there is absolutely no discussion about consent. So it can cause a lot of problems.
yeah, I think you shared a little bit about that on the previous interview, which if you guys want to watch the previous interview that Micki did with me on YouTube, there's part 1 and 2, and I put part 1 in the comments as well. It's also linked in the description of the video. So go back and watch that. But maybe you can share with the people today a little bit about that story I know that you shared in the interview when it comes to consent. Like, what does consent look like, or how is consent taught? Is safe sex taught at all? I think, at least in where I come from, it wasn't about safe sex, it's about avoiding sex, which we know the purity culture movement, like according to statistics, did not work. It had the opposite effect. People were having more sex because it was forbidden and they weren't being taught how to do it safely. So it just resulted in a lot of unplanned pregnancies and STIs and things of that nature. So
Mm.
it's not helpful. I just like to point that out. But maybe you can share a little bit about your like personal experience with consent. That could be helpful.
No, right. So I think you mean like the the guy that I was staying at his friend's place, and he sort of like no, I was staying at my friend's boyfriend's friend's place with a whole group of friends, and in the middle of the night, one of them came down and started touching me inappropriately. Um, just like I'm just a body on the floor, like I'm not a person. I was just there for his pleasure, basically, which was horrifying when you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're in your early, I think I was in my early 20s, and you're very naive and you don't know what's going on. And then when I did tell like the elders in my congregation what happened, I was asked why didn't I run, why didn't I yell, why didn't I do anything? Because my response was to freeze. So yeah, I'm I'm only recently processing that and getting like actually angrier that something did happen to me and nobody cared, which I think we did
Yeah.
touch on in that past interview.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it too, is like something really traumatic happens to you, it gets blamed on you, and then no one cares to help you process that or give you the tools that you need to process that. And so then you're left with all of this heaviness and trauma, and you're just supposed to be cool with it, I guess. And then you end up, like you said, not dealing with that, not being able to like really process any of that until way down the road because
It's like
you thought it was your
moving
fault.
very slow.
Yeah, there seems to be a little bit of a delay, you guys, so I apologize. But again, we have someone from out of the country, and I'm so lucky to have her. But sometimes that means it can be a little bit of a delay. But yeah, I'll shut up and I'll let you keep sharing. That way I don't interrupt you and make it more painful for people. We can put some comments up here on the screen too. Okay, down here on the screen too.
Am I here?
Yeah.
Ah.
Okay, down here on the screen too.
Am I here? Okay, am I back?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's weird. Like you're frozen on my actual screen, but I can see you on my iPad on Instagram.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't know what is going on with this. We're trying, man. We're trying. That's why I asked. I apologized at the beginning, you guys. Okay. Oh, that's crazy. I don't know what is going on with this. We're trying, man. We're trying. That's why I asked. You might have to turn the volume down on that on the iPad, though. That way it doesn't bleed over.
No, I can't show you. Can I show you? I don't know if it'll show you. No, that'll show me that. Oh, sorry. But yeah, you're completely frozen on my screen and I can't hear you.
Maybe you can exit out and come back in. Try that. And I'll just hang out here with these guys. Someone said there's also some feedback on your end. Maybe try different headphones. I know, Micki, you mentioned in the beginning you were trying new headphones, so I wonder if that's potentially part of it.
No. Hello? No. Oh.
Are we there?
Okay, I'm going to go come back.
Okay. Hey, Jody, I see your name pop up here. You guys, Jody did an interview with me, and her interview is coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm really excited to share that one too. Stop with this comment. Jehovah's hand is messing with your stream. I'm dead. That's because, yeah, that's what we get for being heathens on a Sunday. You know, Jehovah has had it with the sinners today. Sinners being us. Oh, that's too good. That cracked me up for real. Thank you guys for your patience. Micki is amazing. She is. I'm glad you all are seeing it. What are you guys up to? Where are you guys? What is your religious background? Let me know. Jody, you did great. You did great. I'm excited for your interview to do it. Let me send. Here. Micki, are you still frozen? Luckily for people in the future watching this, I will go back and edit. The compassionate apostate. No. I figured you were ex-Jehovah's Witness based on your name with the apostate in there. There were signs. The signs were there. Ooh, look, another one. Y'all hear that in like DJ Khaled's voice. Another one. Another one. I'm also XJW advocate like Micki. Well, welcome. Look at all these XJWs. I'm a never JW. Wait, does that mean? I'm glad that you don't hide it. Why should we? Why should we hide it? Be loud about it. I'm about that life, baby. I'm about it. Another XJW. Look at these people. Y'all coming out of the woodwork today. Jexit 2020. Welcome. I'm assuming several of you guys have come from Micki's page being XJW, because on my page I cover a lot of cults and religions, not JW specifically. But it seems like there's a lot of y'all in here and I love it. Let me put something in the comment here. There, maybe we'll have her do that real quick. I appreciate your patience, everyone. I kind of anticipated there might be some issues, or maybe I jinxed it. That could be my fault. Yes, it definitely needs to be talked about. Why don't we, you know what? I was going to do like a put a finger down thing. You guys know that's like a little out of, it's not like trending anymore, but I was like, we should do a put a finger down, a purity culture edition. You guys want to do that while we're waiting on Micki to come back? Hopefully she comes back. Otherwise, y'all are stuck with me. We might just have to. What is faded XJW? What does that mean? Is that cryptic for something? What is faded XJW? Oh, hey, Kara. Yeah, it like booted us off of Instagram and we were having laggy issues. So Micki jumped out and is coming back in. But we're about to do Put a Finger Down Challenge Purity Culture Edition because I love games and I already had this ready and we're waiting on Micki. So, all right, put a finger down. First of all, put your fingers up. Okay. Well, I feel like Beyonce right now. All the single ladies, all the single ladies. Okay. Put a finger down if you ever signed a purity contract or made a purity pledge. Do you guys remember those? Weren't those fun? Weren't those fun? Micki, you are not showing up here at all. Faded is when you leave without giving the elders a chance. That's so funny to me. That's such a funny rule. Because why do you have to give, like, they have to give you permission to leave? It's like, I want to leave the religion. And they're like, yeah, but we have to approve that. Faded means you weren't disfellowship, but slowly started leaving the organization, not eating or attending or believing. Interesting. I'm learning so much. Micki, we're just gonna have to be patient, I guess, with it because you're not even showing up in my lobby right now. So as it's uploading, then maybe it'll come back. Someone did a purity culture contract. I did a purity contract with my JW dad when he suspected fornication, not customary in the org though. Did it work? Were you pure after that? Okay. Micki, that's fine. We can wait because we're playing a game anyway. So no worries at all. We're here for you, baby girl. Okay, so number one was put a finger down if you signed a purity contract or made a purity pledge. Hold on, let me put this one down. Number two, put a finger down if the words "true love waits" gives you war flashbacks. Do y'all remember the true love waits movement of the 90s and early 2000s? When I was doing some research on that one time, I in the States, do you guys know how much money, like, Bush and Reagan donated, not donated, but, like, allocated to the movement, like, the abstinence movement? It will infuriate you. It will infuriate you, I promise. Oh my god, it did work. See, I was being sarcastic, but I guess it depends on your if my parents had done that to me, I probably would have been scared too. So that's totally valid, totally valid. I was scared to death to do anything until marriage. Girl, same. And let me be honest, I'm gonna tell y'all something that's kind of embarrassing. So I thought, like, it was so shamed for me growing up that I was like, even when I married my ex-husband, I was like, "Okay, like, it sounds terrible," and I really thought I was like, I think I can be married and never like, I can just avoid it. Like, I just don't have to have sex. Like, it's fine. It sounds terrible anyway, so, like, I can probably just get around it. It'll be fine. Like, I don't have to do it. Anyway, so I have a 16-year-old. That didn't work. That didn't work out. That didn't work out. Good times. So, yes. What was the last one? Number 2, if the words true love waits give you war flashbacks. I'm having a little PTSD just talking about it. All right, number 3, put a finger down if you wore a purity ring or ever gave one to someone else. Y'all remember those? Like, they sold them actual jewelry stores, or you could order them through catalogs. They would say, like, and you would wear it on your, like, ring finger, and it said, like, true love waits. And I know a lot of times they gave them out at, like, the purity events, like the purity culture balls or the purity balls, or, like, at church and shit. They were so cool. They were so cool. And then, like, celebrities would wear them. I think, like, yeah, like, I remember, like, some of the Jonas Brothers, like Miley Cyrus. Who else? Um, there was a lot of celebrities, like, kids that wore them back in the day too. Um, yeah. Yeah, there's so much guilt about it. So much guilt about it. And it's like, you're teenagers or you're a young person. Like, it's science. Like, your hormones are going to do that. What are they freaking crazy? It's just so much gaslighting and, like, manipulation and gross. Just shame, 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 shame. They thought that was gonna work on everything. Number 4, put a finger down if you waited until marriage to, you know, do the dirty. Do the dirt. Uh-oh, look who's back. Back
Hi.
again.
I'm so sorry. I
Micki's
don't know
back.
what happened.
Tell your friends.
Uh, uh.
We're gonna blame it on guys, if you want me to rap, I'll do it for you. I'll do it. Please don't make me.
Let's
Okay.
blame it
I'm
on
very,
Jehovah.
very white and very untalented. Someone said that. I don't know if you saw that comment. Did you see it? Someone was like,
No.
who was it? Yes, I gotta go back and find it. Ah, dang, I gotta find it. There's been several comments. I'm having a hard time, but someone was like, yeah, Jehovah's unhappy with you. It's like, facts. Well, Jehovah can.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Jehovah can suck it.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, this video is definitely not gonna be monetized. It's gonna get flagged AF, but oh well. I don't know. I've already dropped, like, enough. Purity, stop this comment. I'm dead. I'm dead. Stop.
That's a good one.
That's so good. Purity balls, weren't they blue? Yeah, no, literally, they were all blue. The female version of that, I would like to say, are called blowovaries. They're basically like blue ovaries.
I was
instead of
like,
blue.
please don't say blue
That makes
waffle
sense.
because I don't want to have to explain that.
Please listen. Speaking of, we were already talking about having PTSD flashbacks about true love waits movement.
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's exactly right. Yeah. Look, here goes my girl Kara. You guys, Kara has been with me since pretty much day one on Instagram. She's amazing. She's awesome. I love
love
her.
you,
And she's
Kara.
just been so support. We do. You're pretty much the coolest. So the rest of y'all better step it up. I'm kidding. Okay, we're still going through the put a finger down. We were playing put a finger down when you were out, just so we could play a little game. So the last one was put a finger down if you waited until marriage to knock uglies.
Technically,
I did.
no.
I did.
I didn't.
I'm just kidding. And yeah, not it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. That's another thing about purity culture is like it's like this sacred, beautiful thing that you have to wait until marriage for, and then you wait until marriage and you're like, this is the worst.
Yeah, like
This is not a good time at all.
I feel like my overall, and I'll go into it later, obviously. My first time was amazing. Like, couldn't have been better. But I was also like, in the back of my mind, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, this is the thing that
This
is
was
such
the
a big
hype.
thing. Why?
Unnecessary hype. Like, I don't know. It's just all a controlling thing, I think. All right, and let's do 5. So I have 10 total, but I'll do one more. We'll stop at 5, and then maybe we can come back to it to finish the other 5 since Micki is back. Put a finger down if you read I Kiss Dating Goodbye and or have ever fantasized about giving Josh Harris a good old knuckle sandwich. Do y'all remember him? He wrote this book about like staying, like not dating, basically like courting and saving yourself until marriage and all of that BS. But I think he wrote that when he was like really, I want to say like 17 or something, but he was basically like the poster child for the whole True Love Waits movement. And there's been a lot of people that are not happy with the man. But again, he was kind of, I feel like, brainwashed from a young age. And then he sold millions of copies of this book. And so many people modeled their life, their, and purity around this book that it really screwed with a lot of people. And so there's been a lot of hate. I think he did a documentary not that long ago where he went and talked to people that book had impacted. So I thought that was actually interesting because a lot of people would not do that and kind of own their BS.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy.
I think like most of
Tara,
our
yeah, perfectly way to put
it. Yeah. Yeah. Most of our like Jehovah's Witness related purity stuff was all like in-house. Like we weren't really allowed to read outside publications, and it was all straight from the Watchtower.
Yeah. That makes total sense because it was like a very isolated, it sounds like, which ours was too, but it was, I guess that was the isolation was kind of that movement in itself. But yeah, where did you leave off last time? And let's pick back up on your story before this thing decides to glitch the F out again. Before he pissed Jehovah off again.
Look, can we piss Jehovah off some more? So
ask and you shall receive, baby.
He needs to be more creative with his like stopping things from happening stuff. Anyway.
Man.
I think we were talking about consent right before I got I don't know, like yes. Everything got all muddled. And just basically like the idea that there is no consent-based education within the Jehovah's Witnesses. I think that can wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you? I guess it was just like don't do this, don't do that. Wait until marriage. And then there's no conversation about if someone tries to force themselves on you or you're uncomfortable with something or you don't want to do something, you can say no. Like there's no conversation about that, right?
They've even had like talks and stuff about like even when you're married, if your husband wants it, like you have to give it to him, basically. They did have like they've got like so they produce their own literature and now movies and stuff. But they did have like this little paragraph in a chapter for a book for children, where it did say, if somebody tries to touch you inappropriately, go tell your parents, or something very simple like that, but didn't really delve into it. And I often thought like that's a really weird thing to have put in this book. And then like when I leave, come to find out there's a big problem with CSA, which is them trying to say, look, so we do educate about this one paragraph, which no, it's not education.
Yeah.
But other than
And if
that,
people don't read that one paragraph, then they'll never know.
And then you think it's directed towards children, so it's not like it's necessarily something that you'll pick up and read if you're a adult in your 20s and 30s.
Right.
But yeah, aside from that, it was all like, if something does happen to you, what were you wearing? It was your fault. Like, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then as you talked about in your previous interview, when something does happen, which was what in your case, something did happen, and then people found, like you told someone or people found out about it, no one did anything. It was blamed on you, and then you ended up losing some friends over it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, there were just people that like I felt they didn't stick up for me. And like one of my friends actually saw it happen, like saw the guy come in and leaning over me, and wouldn't back me up and go to my elders. And I also found out that the guy had done it to a couple of other girls before. They didn't want to say anything because they saw how I was being treated. So yeah, it just ended up being one of those things that was put into the too hard basket, and there was no real care or love or understanding or anything to help prevent that from happening again. So that was quite disappointing.
Yeah. So how's that affected you now, like after the fact, when you finally did leave, you broke away from it? And I remember you telling me like it took even, I think, a couple years after you left, right? Before you felt comfortable, like even being physical with someone. So obviously how it impacts people psychologically and emotionally and mentally. Like you don't leave and then automatically like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go plow all the roads, if you know what I mean. Like, there's still this deep-seated shame, guilt, fear, all of that stuff. So, like, how has that affected you since you've left?
I think that like that experience coupled with what I was taught as a Jehovah's Witness, and how I was also told that like worldly men are really evil and really scary and they only want sex. They don't want to get to know you. All of these like toxic beliefs, I guess. It made it really scary for me when I first left. Because it felt like it was like this big weight hanging on my shoulders. Like, oh, I haven't done this thing that everyone else has already done. By the time they've hit their late 20s at least. And now I'm like 10 years behind. I don't know if I can find someone I can trust. And I really felt like I needed to be with someone I could trust that would care for me and wouldn't just like, to put it crudely, pump and dump.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I said that.
They do be doing that. I mean, that's a real fact.
Yeah. So it was quite hard as well because I obviously woke up at the end of 2020 and left at the beginning of 2021, and New Zealand was going in and out of lockdown. So there was a whole pandemic at play. Like that was a big factor. You didn't really want to be going around meeting strange people. I downloaded a couple of the apps, and that was really scary. Like the way guys do come at you on the apps.
The worst.
Most of the women will understand what I'm saying. But I did go on a couple of dates, and then like with this one guy, we went out on a date, and then we ended up in lockdown again. And that lasted for like 6 weeks. And then we met up again, and because I didn't have sex with him on that night, he started ghosting me. So then that was awkward because I was like, okay, I thought like, you know, he was texting me every day for 6 weeks, and I thought something more than just what it was. But yes, I guess that was kind of my experience with dating. And just having it inside me that I haven't done this thing, like I mentioned before, like it felt like I was walking around in like a human suit, but I was an alien, like an extra alien for just not having had this experience.
Yeah.
And even making new friends, and they would talk about what they were getting up to and the guys that they were meeting, and I was just like, wow, like listening to their stories were amazing, and they were super supportive, and really understanding of my situation, no pressure, really helpful. But even having to explain all the time, like, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this thing that you guys do all the time, like even just going on a date, and I'm scared of the pressure, the everything. I think as well, because I left in my 30s, there's sort of an element of maturity where I didn't want to just go get drunk and have sex with anyone. Which I think, maybe if I'd left when I was younger, I might have tried to do it that way. But yeah, I ended up meeting someone who was just amazing and really caring and attentive, and made sure that I was okay and safe. Yeah, and since then,
Awesome.
it's been good.
I mean, shit, you had been through enough at that point. I'm glad you were able to have such a good experience like that, because that would have been an extra layer of just shit to deal with. So that's I'm happy
and like
you had that.
We're still in contact, we're still friends, and message and call each other all the time. And like I've had a couple more experiences since then, but I don't know. I have like this, I feel like people think that I'm more wild than what I really am, but I support everyone else being wild. I support everyone else being a hoe. I live vicariously through them, but I still have.
Do you think, girl?
I still have nerves. I'm
that's
still,
perfectly
like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
That's perfectly fine. And that's the thing, is like it's I think it's the ability to have the permission to make whatever decision you want. And if that decision is not doing anything, at least you have the decision. At least that you have the autonomy to decide now if you do or you don't want to, instead of it being kind of out of your hands or unthinkable to do because of what's being imposed on you.
Yeah. I think I used to have as a Jehovah's Witness, a gay best friend who obviously wasn't allowed to be gay, because he was a witness. And like we'd sit there and we'd be having these deep conversations and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm never going to find anyone, like I'm never going to get married, which means I'm never going to have sex. And he's like, well, at least like you're at the time, like, I mean, since leaving, I've been able to discover my own sexuality and say that I'm bi, and have those experiences too. But at the time, like obviously I was stuck in a heteronormative religion, and it was like, you can still get married or you can still find a guy, whereas I can't. Like I'm going to be stuck not being able to have a relationship because of being gay, which is awful for him, and he still feels that way, which is, think about him all the time, and I hope he's okay. But yeah, it's yeah, it's just a terrible position to be put in because of religion, to control people.
Yeah. And it's like, does anyone else find it freaking like weird and gross? I think about this all the time still. I'm like, what is people's obsession? And when I say people's, like religion, parents in religion, the high control groups, high control families, like the obsession with virginity.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really weird. And then the obsession of what other people do with their bits, like that's why there's so much anti-LGBTQ. There's so much, anti anything but abstinence. But it all comes down to these grown ass people being hella concerned about the genitals of children or young people. It's just really disgusting.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Like, and I also feel that there's a lot of projection going on, like that something There's something in
Mhm.
themselves that they haven't addressed that is making them feel a certain type of way, and that's where it's coming from, this anger, this like obsession, and it's just
Repression.
ridiculous.
Yeah. I think there is definitely a lot of repression in religions, but then also they're obsessed with it. And like you said, maybe it's something personal, but then there's so much like CSA and SA that goes on also that it's all a tactic. It's all a freaking tactic. Like, oh, it just makes me mad when I think about it because it's like there's so much shame around it and like waiting until marriage and staying pure and all of that while they're also doing all this other nasty, illegal
Yeah.
shit behind the scenes. But because they place so much shame on the victims and victim blaming, that's like when victims go through something that they've been told is wrong and sinful, they carry all of that blame. So they're not going to tell anyone because they're like, this is the higher up. This is like the man of God or the leader or whatever, the bishop, then I obviously can't say anything. It must have been my fault because they're closer to God than I. Like it's so layered, like the manipulation and all of that is so layered that it's just like it's this massive scheme, this dirty, gross scheme about I don't know. It infuriates
Yeah.
me.
And I think like with the Jehovah's Witnesses, like how like I was saying earlier, that they talk about like, you know, fornication and porneia and all of these things, like at almost every meeting, something comes up about it. So you're constantly being taught about it and spoken to about it, and then constantly being told not to do it. And I feel like that has the opposite effect, like you said as well. It doesn't help anyone. You're stuck in like this sexually repressed environment, and then they're constantly talking about sex at you. Like it's not going to do
Right.
what they want it to do. It like makes no sense psychologically.
Yeah. You're either going to be scared into not, or the other personality is like, the pendulum is going to swing like the opposite freaking way. And you're going to go, opposite extreme on that. So yeah, I don't know what you would think they would have learned at this point, what happens, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, hey, I don't know. It's not working, you guys. It's not working. Some of these comments are really good, about purity culture with objectifying women. Totally true. And then this one about women needing to stay, unused and clean.
Yes.
And I think I talked about it on a video before on Instagram about like, I remember like one time growing up in church, it was like this, they lined up a bunch of us teenagers and had us all walk and like spit in this jar. And then like the last person in line, they told them to drink it.
Oh.
Why would they do this? Number one. And they're like, that's what it is when you have sex before marriage. That's what you're giving your husband. Is you're just used up, dirty, like you're a used piece of chewing gum. Like I said earlier, that one was always used. It's just like, why would anyone want you? You're dirty and gross, and you should just be discarded. You're basically unworthy and unwanted, and use a hoe.
Yeah.
Use a hoe.
And
even if you were a victim.
They don't even like have those kind of discussions with the boys or the men. It's like centered around the woman. Like the men aren't being told that their pencil is being whittled away every time they stick it in something. Like,
right. I wish they would teach that.
Yeah.
And at 4 times the rate when you stick it where it's not wanted, when it's not consensual.
It'll break off.
Yeah. Can someone make that happen? Jehovah, where are you at? This is when we need you for this one. It is definitely a manipulation tactic. You almost get afraid of trying anything sexual. That's how I was. I was like, no, I'm good. I don't have to do all that.
And like, I'm still like obviously in an exploring phase and figuring out what I do and don't like and stuff. And like, even that, so like that's what I mean. And like you said earlier, that you don't just leave and it's okay, because it's still like, I mean, it's been a year and I'm still like figuring things out. Like it's not like an instant, oh yes, this, that, thank you, gone. Like
right.
Yeah.
No. And I did an interview with Eric Skorzynski. Hopefully I said that right. But he was on the IFB Let Us Pray documentary. So he was raised similar to me. And we had a conversation about, because like purity culture affects women. And I would say, and he said this like in a more grand, terrible way than it does men, but it still has an effect, a really negative effect on the men who get out as well. And I've seen research on that too, just about the shame and the guilt, and just it just represses you and makes you kind of bottle everything up and not explore things. And when you explore things, then you feel just terrible and awful and dirty and gross. And again, all of this pressure around marriage. And then when you get into a marriage, even as a dude, then you're like, what do I do? What do I do now? So it's, no one wins. No one wins here.
And there's like, I popped up a little video earlier, just touching on like briefly what we were going to talk about tonight. And like a few people in the comments like had a couple of thoughts of their own experiences and questions. And like there are people that got married at like 19, 20, and they were saying it was so awkward and horrible, and they didn't know what was happening. They didn't know what this meant, and they didn't know what that meant. Like, yeah, it's, even if you do go ahead and do it when you're younger, but when you're stuck in this like purity culture, like toxic religion environment, you don't know what's happening. You still have like shame and awkwardness.
Right.
Yeah.
If there's like something that you would say, this is so cheesy, if there's something you would say to like you who got out a couple years ago, or you who, when you were still in, like, is there anything that would have been helpful to know or to like hear at that point?
Yeah, I think it's just sort of, and also this is gonna sound cheesy as well, is just trust yourself. Like, like your body will tell you if it wants to do something. If you want to do something, your mind, your body, you just know. You have to try and tune your intuition, and don't just go along with something because someone's suggesting something to go a certain way, or don't be afraid. Like, it's just sort of finding that balance in between, and talk to other women. I think definitely talk to other women, because we should be helping each other. We should be sort of uplifting and sharing the knowledge. And I will say that before my first time, I did reach out to a couple of other ex-Jehovah's Witness women and other ex-cult members, and being like, is there anything I should know? Like, what should I consider? Like, is this okay? Is that okay? And like, this is the guy, and this is what he's sort of been like. And just to sort of get that extra level of support when you don't really know what to expect. And that was really helpful. So I'm here for anyone. If you want to message me, if you're going through it, I'm here. Like, I just really want to help people feel less alone, because I did feel really isolated, especially the first couple of years. But you'll get there.
Yeah, because you don't know how to talk about it. It's like, how do you even bring that subject up when you're not used to talking about it? Now for us, it's like a little less awkward or uncomfortable to talk about, because we've had the conversations more. But when you're first getting out, it's like, where do you even start? How do you reach out? You feel, then again with shame, but you feel shame or like embarrassment to even ask someone about something. But I think it's a good point what you said about like having to, like, we should support each other and be there for each other. And like, anyone can come to you or me, and there's not going to be any shame attached to that. Like, we should be having these conversations. There is so much stigma around this topic, but the more we talk about it, it's harder for shame to stay attached to it.
Exactly.
So I think that's a very good point.
It is.
How come all of these people in the comments know each other? I feel like the odd man out. This is my channel. What the hell? No, I'm just kidding. No, that's cool. Micki, are these your people? Are these your people?
Yeah, they are. I'm really glad that they're here. Matt, the Falling Tower, who just commented, he does like some really great educational content for ex-witnesses or Jehovah's Witnesses if they're questioning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mention real quick because I know we have a lot of ex-Jehovah's Witness on today. Thanks, Tio. But the website, was it jwfacts.com?
Yeah.
Is the one you were telling me about? That is like, okay. Not not the other one that they always want to send you to, but jwfacts.com to, if you guys are just newly getting out and want good information and not one-sided biased information about Jehovah's Witness. Micki mentioned before in her previous interview with me that that's been a wonderful resource and helped her start like deconstructing from things as well. So
yeah,
I just wanted to mention that real quick.
Yeah, it's a great resource.
Yeah.
There's a lot of us out there. Like if you want to reach out to any one of us, I'm sure we'll be happy to help. And even if you're not a Jehovah's Witness or you don't know that much about Jehovah's Witnesses, checking out JW Facts can help you if they do knock on your door. And it's just quite clear and informative and concise as well.
And there's so much overlap with all of these high control religions that it's been helpful for me when I started deconstructing. And I know a lot of my followers on Instagram and YouTube have said to me, like, it's helpful to hear people's stories from a different background, because then it's still just like connecting dots and validating your experience. Because a lot of people maybe don't identify with, oh, I was in a cult, or they might not think Jehovah's Witness or IBLP or Mormon or whatever is a cult. So you don't even need that label per se. If you're uncomfortable with that, totally fine. You don't have to attach that to yourself or to your experience. But if you're noticed, like some of these interviews and conversations can help bridge the gap and maybe help people understand that even if it's not a cult, it's very unhealthy, it's harmful, it's controlling, it's not okay. A lot of times it's illegal, the practices that are being done. So it's been helpful for me and a lot of other people I know to hear experiences like yours. When I don't have any experience being a Jehovah's Witness, it still has been helpful to hear some of, about your background as well.
And I think like even just having this discussion between the two of us about like purity culture, because purity culture in America and purity culture within like evangelical environments is different to Jehovah's Witness in New Zealand. Like, but then there's like this overlap where so many things are basically boiling down to the same thing: men trying to control other men, and in particular women. So it's like basically trying to how do I say this? Like trying to see if the environment you're in has anything that's harmful or toxic, identifying it and figuring out either how you can change it or how you can change yourself or the environment you're in and leave. I guess. Yeah. If that makes sense.
And you mentioned it a minute ago, but just the one of the most powerful things I think in understanding, even if you're still involved in something that's high purity culture or purity base, like having the agency to say no, I think is a big one, like being able to say no firmly, but that's not always easy to do. Like, number one, there's personality differences, there's teachings, there's shame, there's fear, there's a hierarchy to follow. So saying no isn't always a thing people are able to do, but talking about it afterwards can be helpful. And I think it's important, like what I would want people to know is that no matter who has done that to you, no matter their position or who they are or their title, talking about it is a good place to start. Exposing these people is a good place to start. And it's terrifying and it's scary, but we're in your corner. I mean, you and me, we're in their corner. So please reach out, you guys. And I'm very mean. Okay. I've been called a bulldog more than once in my life. I'm the mean one here. If you guys need someone in your corner,
I can crack jokes and lighten the mood, but I just
it's a good balance. It's a good balance. And then you have the accent too, and that's just like, it's hard to be mad. I couldn't be mad at you. It's like, you hear that New Zealand? What? No. What am I going to be mad at? Say whatever you want. Be mean. I don't care. Oh, yeah. Jenny says, well, first of all, Jenny apologizes for being late.
Yeah,
you're forgiven, Jenny. You're forgiven. Yeah.
I'm gonna think about. But
I'm going to pray about it. Okay. I'm going to pray and see if forgiveness is in the cards for you. But yeah, she said it's a difficult thing to learn. Establishing and enforcing boundaries is hard. And it is. I think that's been one of the biggest things I've learned in therapy over the years is setting boundaries when you're not used to it feels like you're being mean to people, but it's not ever meant to be mean. It's meant to advocate and protect yourself, and it's a kind thing to do for other people so they know where they stand or they know what's important to you. So it's a hard one to learn.
We as Jehovah's Witnesses like had no idea what boundaries were, like for ourselves or for others, like to respect other people's boundaries either. So it's quite a learning curve for Jehovah's Witnesses. Boundaries.
Boundaries? Never heard of her. I don't know.
Who is she?
Yeah. She sounds cool, but never met her. Do you guys want to go back and do the last 5 questions on the put a finger down? Well, I guess they're not technically questions, but I know some people hopped on a little bit late. I actually spoke to Jehovah and we have decided to forgive all of you. So you're in luck today. Today's your lucky day. But so we did the first 4 put a finger down, like purity culture edition. So the first one was put a finger down if you signed a purity contract or made a purity pledge. We already did that one. Number 2 was if the words true love waits gives you war flashbacks, which that might be specific more to the US. I know it was in a lot of countries, but I think probably more heavily here. So that might not apply to everybody. But number 3, if you ever wore a purity ring or gave one to someone else. I was always a little jealous of people. I never got a ring, so I was personally upset about that because I'm like, how am I supposed to be pure if I don't have a ring? Number 4, if you waited until marriage to knock uglies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I did. I can check that one off.
Technically, I had to wait till marriage, but then I left and didn't have to wait till marriage. So, yeah, half finger.
Yeah. You get like to the first knuckle. Why do I feel weird saying I'm like no, and then number 5 we did if you read I kissed dating goodbye and or have ever fantasized about giving Joshua Harris a knuckle sandwich, a 5-finger death punch, you know what I'm saying? So number 6, so let's go into the 5 we haven't done yet. Put a finger down. If your ankle or elbow caused a man to stumble, insert gasp. Yes, I think my ankles have done some things in their day.
Many a great man has fallen at the sight of my ankle.
See, that's how you ended up where you are today, Micki. Yeah. Pink hair. It all starts with showing an elbow and an ankle.
Yeah.
So
and then now look at me, full
that's the downfall. Now look at you. You freaking heathen. States. Oh. And then number 7, put a finger down if you were ever assaulted and then blamed for it, like we talked about earlier.
All the fingers up that each time it happened.
Wish I had more.
6.
Just send me their names real quick, Micki. Just send me their names, maybe their social, and I'll take it. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. Jenny said purity cultures would have been considered exactly because we weren't allowed to wear jewelry either. So good point, because that's probably why I never got one. Also, we were like poverty poor, who's like my dad wasn't gonna be able to.
Yeah, for us, it's like a
stop
a
this one.
I was from the world.
Exactly. This is funny to me. I was told to make a covenant with my.
Yes, that's a very Jehovah's Witness thing.
But did you though? But did you? Were you just told to, or did you do it? Like, how committed were you?
Actually, shout out to Riley, because his channel, his podcast, his YouTube, everything is amazing. And he's like my brother here in London, so besties.
That's awesome. Look at you. That's awesome. I'm in the United States, obviously, and you guys might have been able to tell, those of you who don't know me, that I sound a little country, a little southern, because I live in the wonderful state of Arkansas.
Ooh.
And it's very like the Bible Belt, conservative Christian. And so definitely the odd man out here. So the community, I don't have much of a community in person here. So
I think Jenny
I'm glad you have some people there.
Jenny and Matt, who are in the comments, are in a similar situation in one of the Carolinas, where they are.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you guys. R.I.P. to us. It's the worst. It's the worst. Okay, well, see, apostate. That's on you, you old sinner. You old sinner. This is the one right here. Imagine being shamed for your clothing being tight, but you're kind of poor and wear secondhand hand-me-downs like it wasn't a choice.
Yeah.
My mom sewed all of my clothes, like, and they were like, she would get the patterns, like the old school patterns, like colonial dresses, guys. It's so like
Colonial
I'm
Barbie.
glad I don't have a lot of pictures. Should that be my new handle? Should that be the new handle? But yeah, so and then I got a sewing machine for my 16th birthday so I could sew my own clothes. And I was like, cool. Love that for me. I don't know if I
at least you got a birthday present.
Yeah, because we didn't always, you guys didn't celebrate birthdays or anything like that at all, right? We didn't until like, I only remember 2 birthdays growing up ever. And they were in my later teen years when my family was like a little less strict than they had been most of my life. So, South, but from the West Coast. So it is extra weird. So like Southwest.
So she's from
there's some weird people.
She's from like California, I think. So it was like she moved south.
That is weird that it would be like that. And here we are. The South is always worried about Californians transplanting, and in Texas, like that's been a big thing in the past few years. Like, oh, the people from California are moving to Texas. Blah, blah, blah. It sounds like they're moving to California.
Yeah.
Should wear hand-me-downs and wearing the same 3 skirts. You guys know the fashion trend that's coming back now are like those long jean skirts.
Yes.
I would rather sit on a GD cactus than wear a denim skirt ever again in my life. Yeah. Still now, like even cute little sundresses, I have a hard time like feeling comfortable in dresses or wanting to wear dresses even when they're a little bit, hoish. Because I'm like, I don't know. It just...
Yeah, I can't like... I was really into modern vintage when I was a Jehovah's Witness, like in the last few years. So it was like real cute, like 50s style, but a bit more modern. And I would love to get back into that now with my pink hair and my tattoos, but I'm just like, I can't. I can't wear these dresses now. I don't want to. It makes me feel like
they've ruined it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's somehow still triggering. I've been out of it for like 15 years.
Oh yeah.
And it's still, so I don't know. I'm sorry. It doesn't get better. No, I'm just kidding.
Sorry. No dresses for you ever.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Jenny. You're from the West Coast, moved to the South. Oh, yeah. I imagine that was a bit of a culture shock, if you will. Do y'all get it? You guys get it? Because my channel is called Culture Shock. Finger guns. My girl, this is my little Jody's under my wing, you guys. Jody is precious, and I've told her, because I mentioned this while you were gone. I did an interview with Jody. I haven't posted it yet. It comes out in a couple weeks. But I told Jody, I'm like, you're under my wing now. You're sitting right here, and you're here now. Sorry, you're one of my little chicks, and she's precious and wonderful. I can't wait for y'all to watch her interview. But she lives in South Africa. She's from South Africa. So I have quite a diverse set of people here.
Yeah, thanks for, I think you beat us in the rugby. I think South Africa beat New Zealand. Yeah, so.
Hey, Jody. Okay, a little winner. This is so funny, Jody. she said, I'm not supposed to celebrate Christmas, but for some reason I did get a crop top for Hanukkah, but they're not even Jewish. The irony of that gift. That is so what? Make it make sense. I don't understand it. It's so random.
And a crop top too, like not
Oh
just
my
a regular
gosh.
top, a crop
Yeah.
top.
Yeah. Exactly. Fade to X Anna threw all my suits away and every tie. You better,
Oh,
you make sure you're not buried in one either. They'd be trying to do that shit.
They did just recently change a big rule for Jehovah's Witness women that they can wear, they term it slacks at the meetings now at the Kingdom Hall. So that's like a big thing that they're all wearing their little dress pants and they have to look modest and acceptable and dignified, but so still being controlled, but they're allowed to wear pants now.
Well, aren't they progressive?
Yes. It was great though.
Really.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. Because I'd done like this video on TikTok a couple years ago about how like it went viral, like things Jehovah's Witnesses aren't allowed to do. And I was like, Jehovah's Witness women aren't allowed to wear pants in the Kingdom Hall. And so many people were like, you're lying. That's a lie. I wear pants and I go to the hall, or I know these 5 people that wear pants and blah, blah, blah. You're lying, blah, blah, blah. And I was able to pick up one of those comments and be like, okay, so if I was lying, why did they have this update where the leaders of the Jehovah's Witnesses had to tell you that you can now wear pants? So, boom. But,
man, they cannot wait to run to the comments calling you a liar. Like, like, how are you going to tell me what my experience was or wasn't? Please. Please.
Like, it's all in black and white. Like, I have everything. Like, I've got receipts. I have nothing if not a receipt hoarder.
Same. You can't, I cannot, I screenshot so fast, y'all don't even know. Okay. It will, yeah, it's forever captured after that. Okay.
I'm so sorry. I've like
8.
Full ADHD at the moment.
Put a finger down if you ever heard someone compare a person who's had premarital sex to an old chewed up stick of gum, or what were the other comparisons? I know there were other comparisons like that. So if you guys
like a tissue
I want to hear them because yeah, I think that one sounds familiar. And then there was
there was your
I had another one.
Your spit kink that someone lined you guys up with.
See, that's really I think that's what it boils down to is all of these people who came up with these things have some sort of kink about something, and then it just manifests into forbidding other people to do it because they feel their own shame around it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Am I a psychiatrist now?
Am I qualified now?
Do I have a doctorate now?
I can perform open heart surgery.
Yeah. You're welcome, guys. You're in good hands. Let's see. Ooh. Yeah, number 9. If you rush into marriage so you wouldn't accidentally sin.
Mm-hmm. Not me, but
did you make a covenant for your eyes? No, I'm just kidding. Call back. Yeah. Hold on. Here's one. I remember this one. A cupcake that someone, well, I think you mean licked.
I think you mean
a cupcake that someone licked and then put back on the table.
What do you do with your cupcake stick, Riley?
Tell us. Someone else said, an eaten can't. Ew. It's all revolving around food, I notice.
Yeah, like where
actually now, I want some candy and some freaking cupcakes now. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, cupcake would be great. But you can hold the spit. I'm not a spit girly.
Oh, dang. Not our thing, guys. Sorry.
Sorry
to break your hearts. She's like, just hit up those DMs. And then number 10, put a finger down if you were ever told that men just can't help
Yeah.
themselves. Or like men are visual creatures.
I
Which
was
I always
gonna
thought was
say that.
crazy. It was like, yeah, go off. Let's hear it.
I hate that one because it's not entirely true, and it gives men a false impression for themselves that they have to be visual, and then it gives them an excuse for the other ones that are like, okay, well, yeah, I can't help it, I'm just a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you tempted me. You did this to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, if you must have wanted me to do this, or you wouldn't have shown that elbow.
As if we
You
don't sit there and look at
dirty girl.
their forearms when they roll up their sleeves, like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Have you seen those memes where it's like the boys at church carrying like all of the chairs on their arms?
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, it's like hot in here. Like they're carrying all those. Ooh.
Oh my God, hold me back. If they can do that with those chairs, what can they do to me?
What else can they do? That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
boys
will
will
be boys. Hate that one.
That makes me want to throw up. I hate that one so much. And
Yeah.
I have a son, and like, so help me God if I ever hear those words, because he knows better. He knows better.
Because like,
well, I mean, what would it mean if someone said girls will be girls? What is the connotation there? I don't even know. Boys will be boys means that they're going to do things that you don't want them to do, but because that's just who they are. They can't help themselves. Okay?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of been like a trend recently where girls have been like, we're just girls. But it's all about being like delulu and
really?
ditzy, but it's really cute, you know?
Yeah.
It's not harmful.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen those. Yeah, we're not taking autonomy away from people. We're not hurting people. We're not unconsensually inserting ourselves into people. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, that.
Not running around just
oh my gosh. Or are we? I mean, who's to say? Well, you guys are awesome. I know we went a little over time, but there was such a delay and so many technical difficulties at the beginning. Again, it's fine. It's not your fault. I'm not going to blame you for it. It is, that Jehovah guy, he's really on his shit. So appreciate you guys' patience, and thank you for being here. And I appreciate you being here, Micki, and sharing some of the insight. Yeah, come back anytime. And it's been fun to see like a lot of new people here too.
Yay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I hope we can do something again. Because it's been good. Like, I think what you do is amazing. Like the way that you present your information and the people that you interview, like, it's really amazing. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to hear, and I appreciate that. I've definitely been leaning more into like my personality and humor on YouTube, especially. I have way more followers on Instagram, but the community is just better on YouTube. Sorry, I said it. And I like doing long form content a lot more, and just leaning into like humor and using levity as kind of a thing, because some of these topics and interviews can be really heavy, and your girl's got to process it sometime, like somehow, you guys. And therapy is not cheap, so let me do both. But
I'm always
I would love to have you back sometime and do like.
Sorry.
Good. Mission accomplished.
Engaging.
Exactly. But we'll definitely have you back, and maybe I thought it would be fun to do like I was thinking like battle of the cults, but not really. Ooh. But basically having some of my former guests on from different, like Jehovah's Witness and ex-Mormon and Scientology and all the different interviews that I've done, and Pentecostal, and just seeing what some of that overlap is. And I just think it would be really fun to just see how fucked up we all are. No, I'm just kidding.
I love that. A contest of the weirdness.
Yeah. Who's the most weird and fucked up? Like who has the most trauma? No, it's never a competition. We're all messed up in our own ways, right? So,
spectrum.
But again, thank you guys for being on. Thanks, Micki. Oh God, I'm on more than one spectrum. You know what I'm saying? But yes, thank you. I love you. And you guys go follow her if you don't already, which a lot of y'all already do. But you can find her at Apostate Barbie. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. And I will see y'all next time.